Cheers, readers! Welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads, and welcome to my Weekend Books Straight Talk edition. This is posted on Tuesday as opposed to Monday because yesterday was my 1-year anniversary of my very first YouTube video, so I wanted to do a special video for that. But today, I'm talking my weekend books, and I'm going to go through the week, and then finally at the end, talk to you about why I have been so scattered reading for the last month and some change. On one part, it's definitely the election. That played a huge part in it, but that's over now, and it's still a struggle, although it's getting better. And I've known why. I just hadn't been ready to talk about it yet. And I'm still a little leery about it. Not going to talk about it outside of YouTube. So if you're watching from work or anything like that, don't bring it up to me. I don't want to hear about it. This is a YouTube-only discussion. Anywho. So, I started and finished 2 books this week. I started and skim-finished a 3rd. I DNF'd a purse book. And I started and almost finished, probably will finish tonight, a 4th book, and started a new purse book. Went somewhere totally different on my purse book. I am not listening to audio right now. I decided I need to kind of like cleanse the palette, clear my slate, or whatever. But let's get with it. Let's get to it. I don't know what the hell I'm doing right now. Anywho, the first book that I started and finished was The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. I have mixed feelings about this. And I said in a short that I really usually love an unreliable narrator. But Anna just would not fight for herself. I know why. I knew why for a while into the book. I didn't know how, but I knew why. And Anna, she just falls and falls and falls and doesn't even try. And I can't even be mad at her about that. It was just hard to root for her. And in a way I can relate. So, I like this a lot better looking back on it. It did not help that I was distracted and having a hard time settling. It also didn't help that I just skimmed the article, but it turns out A.J. Finn, his real name, I've forgotten. But Stephen King loved this book, and Owen King wrote something. Was it Owen? One of the other kids, King kids, had something to do with this. Anywho, it doesn't matter. No, hold on. Joe Hill had a discussion with A.J. Finn. Anywho, A.J. Finn, the real guy, I forgot his real name, is apparently a liar and has lied about his family history, like his mom and maybe one of them having cancer, either he or his mom. And so I don't remember. It wasn't that important to me. So that kind of shaded my view of this. When I found out one of the reveals, I knew and I had known for a while now. I wrote that down. I just didn't know how. And that comes at the end. There is another thing that comes at the end that I absolutely loved. Stick around for the ending, folks. It's worth it. I absolutely loved the ending. I think that if I had read this at a different time, I would have really enjoyed this book. I think I should have, next time before I start a book that I'm not familiar with, I'm going to Google it after. I don't want to know any scandal about the author until after I've read it and made my own opinion. I will say he does, come on, The Woman in the Window, Rear Window, Alfred Hitchcock. this did make me watch Shadow of a Doubt, which he references in here, and is a key thing at the end. I started underlining it because I was like, oh shit, I can't even read this, because it's telling you, you're about to be blown away because you don't know what's going on, you're not paying attention. So I loved the movie references in this, and again, I think if I had been in a different place, I would have really enjoyed this book. I look back at it right now with a lot more fondness than I did when I was reading it. So I think I'm kind of heading toward a better place, like Anna was, only in a different kind of way. Next up, reader, I skimmed the last third of the book. And if you've read the last part of the book, you'll understand the reference there. I liked Jane Eyre. I was just struggling, and it was so long. And I think that for the next couple of classics that I read, I'm going to listen to them. I said I'm not reading an audiobook right now. I'm not. I've got Pride and Prejudice, and I've lost the narrator's name. British actor. She stars in The Wheel of Time. I'm just drawing a blank on that. Love her anyway. But I'm holding off on that. So because I'm gonna finish the month without listening to an audiobook, I might cave this long weekend. But anyway, I think that the next couple classics I'm actually gonna listen to. Let me just tell you, there's no alcohol in this. I'm just babbling because that's what I do. So I did struggle through Jane Eyre, partly because it was so long, and it's a much slower read because it's written, back in the 1800s? And here's what I'll say. I found this with now both the Brontes, also with Jane Austen. These men, why? I do not understand what made these women fall in love with them, except for maybe in Jane's case, proximity, and that's the only man she ever met up to that point, only available man. This is the first time I write about this. It's not the first time it happens. But I've got a note here. And I said, there's a lot of talking about nothing here. And I'm reading and reading. I'm like, wait a second. It's not nothing. This is Rochester. And he's talking about himself. And it goes on and on for pages. And at one point, Jane says, "To speak truth, sir, I don't understand you at all. I cannot keep up the conversation because it has got out of my depth." And she didn't mean, in my opinion, that it had gotten out of her depth. He just wouldn't stop talking about himself. And it is not the only time that he does this. And finally, I just had enough. I got to the end where he's trying to explain why... Not the end. I got to the part where he's trying to explain why she should still marry him, but despite the fact that he's got a woman upstairs, the Madwoman in the attic, and that she should just let that go. And he kept talking, and it was all about him. All about him. And so I skimmed it. I skimmed through the end, and then I read like a little Cliff's Notes version. And I'm not going to be ashamed about that. I calling it read. I did my due diligence. I appreciated the book, and I appreciated the writing style even. I just don't understand. Same thing with Wuthering Heights. Heathcliff, I never got what people thought was romantic about that whiner. Anywho, Rochester didn't whine. He just talked about himself a whole hell of a lot. That's not where that's going. Anywho, so if I could have found if I'd thought about it and found a good narrator for Pride and Prejudice, or for Jane Eyre, I would have listened to it. I am going to listen to Pride and Prejudice next, probably. But, damn, I can't think of that actor's name. Anywho, but not this week, probably. So, speaking of Jane Austen, I did read next, from start to finish, Puck and Prejudice. Rink Meets Regency by Leah Riley. I enjoyed this. It took me 3 days to read it because of what we'll talk about later. But why do I have this? But it was very cute. It takes the it takes Jane Austen and makes it more of a feminist retelling. There's a mention of the Madwoman in the attic, which is right up my alley. And one thing that I really appreciated about this is this told from two perspectives. First of all, the man, Tucker, he's the one who goes back in time, and he meets the 18th century lady. Usually it's the woman going back in time, obviously, because we like to be the main characters in our stories. But I appreciated this from the man going back in time. Now, the girl, Lizzie, is really ahead of her time. And this was a very cute romance. It's a forced marriage romance, so you know how that goes. Her parents and her brother treat her like shit. It was really a satisfying, good read. Again, I think if I had read it at another time, I would have really, really enjoyed the hell out of it. So, that is it for the books that I finished. I did DNF The Madwoman in the Attic by Sandra Gilbert and Susan Gubar, and here's why. Jane Eyre was easier to read than this. This is like a textbook, and there are some textbooks or books about history or writing or literature or human thought that are easy to read from start to finish. This was not. I got so much out of it, what I did read, but it was just so heavy, and with everything that's happened and everything going on, I may come back to it later. I will definitely reference it because Jane Eyre's in here, Jane Austen's in here. Funny, it's none of the books I picked to read. I'm sorry, except for Jane Eyre. Mary Shelley's in here, so I will definitely come back to it. I just couldn't have something so heavy right now. So, that is DNF, but not over. That's definitely a keeper book. When I put that down, I needed something to be a purse book. And I don't like to have my nighttime book as my purse book because if I leave my purse book somewhere at work or something like that, then then it's no big deal. If I leave my nighttime book at work or somewhere else, then it's a huge deal because then I don't have anything to read. So anyway, I am reading Lonesome Dove. It's my purse book. I am that far in it, haven't gotten very far. I have counted out the pages, so I know exactly how many pages I need to read a day to finish by the end of the year. I'm not trying by the end of November. Didn't account for weekends, so I need to probably figure that out because I have not read any on this weekend. I'm enjoying this a lot more. It's another brick of a book, but it was a Pulitzer Prize winner, and it's a funny read. I'm enjoying it so far. So I do need to figure out how I'm going to make my weekends work on this, but I'm glad I chose it. Finally, my current read is The Mirror by Nora Roberts. This is book 2 in the Lost Bride trilogy. I just exceeded the halfway mark. I am right there. This is the 3/4 of a way mark. This is like day 3 for me, and I could have gobbled this up in a minute any other time. And I love this book, but I feel myself nitpicking in some parts. I'm still having trouble focusing. But it is getting better. I've had a lot better results today when I made myself sit down and read for like 20 minutes at a time. That's how I got as far as I did. If I do not finish it tonight and it's about 4 o'clock or getting on 4 o'clock, If I don't finish it tonight, I'll almost definitely finish it tomorrow, and don't know if I'll bring it back for next week's weekend books or not. I do have a couple books piled up after that to read. So, Straight Talk edition. First of all, I had intended to change my shirt and put my hair down, maybe curl it, but this is Straight Talk. I've been doing chores all day and reading, so why should I change how I am? Second thing, I said I would talk about why I've had such trouble reading and settling down to read. And again, one part was the election. That was very distracting, but I have turned off all news. I still get alerts on my phone for major things, but I've turned off all news, and I'm not having to check the news because why bother now? But on the 24th of October, as you guys know, early last month, I had to get some temporary crowns because I was getting my teeth crowned. And on the 24th of October, I got my permanent crowns put on. And once that was complete, I decided that in order to better take care of my dental health, that it would be best if I chose not to smoke for a while. I'm specifically not using the word quit because it feels restrictive and I don't need that kind of restriction. So, the morning of, I had a couple cigarettes, and then I went and got my permanent crowns put on, and I have not had any since. I also haven't had anything to drink. This is sparkling white tea, cranberry, and ginger. It actually doesn't taste that bad, but I just picked this up this past week. So, since then, since October 24th, I've not had anything to smoke or drink. And it was on Friday, 30 days. Today, it is 32 days. I've got the 2 highlighted because now I'm on the second half of the 30 days. I am trying now to make sure I exercise every day of the 30. So, some of the side effects of that decision is that I have been very scatterbrained, very hard to settle. It's hard to sit still. It's hard to focus. It has been. It is getting a lot better. And there was some irrational rage and some rational rage because I was doing this all through the election, my birthday, the election, and now we're coming up on Thanksgiving, which is why I did not go up to my dad's wife for Thanksgiving. I can't drink right now because if I drink, I will smoke, and that's just not a thing. And so I knew that it would be hard to say no to wine if I went up there, and I just can't right now. So just wanted to talk about that. If I've babbled the past month in my videos, that's why. I'm trying to work on it. I'm trying to focus. It is getting a lot better. But I still have cravings every single day, and it's been 32 days. Sometimes I know that it's just the habit talking. Other times it's not. And honestly, I don't know how I've made it this far. I tried when I got the temp crowns put on. I tried to not smoke at that time. And on day 2, I was on day 2 of reading this book, Murder on the Red River by Marcy Rendon, and in which Cash Black Bear smokes or looks for her cigarettes or smokes a butt or thinks about buying cigarettes or buys cigarettes, and it broke me on day 2. This was like early October. Whatever it was, it might have been September anyway. It was after I got the temp crowns on, but weeks before my permanent crowns came on. And yeah, so I will not read anything more by her if anybody who smokes that much. It was just too much for me at that time. And I don't know how I've made it this far. Except for looking at my teeth and seeing how white they are compared to how they would be if I had been smoking ever since my last appointment. So staining is not an issue right now, except for, you know, caffeine, coffee stains, but not at all like before. One of the biggest barriers to reading is I'm used to coming home, grabbing my book, grabbing a glass of wine, and sitting down and reading and having a glass of wine and a cigarette. So now I can't do that. And when I sit down, my brain would just go ping, 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 and I couldn't settle or focus. And, you know, I don't chew gum. I've tried breath mints, but you can only do so many breath mints. Mostly, I just breathe through it. I do have one funny for you. I was reading something because I was like, breath mint's got a sugar in it, and so does this drink right here. But, you know, what can I do? So, some website, I wish I had written it down, recommended whistling. And I was like, what? First of all, it's my firm belief that whistling is sinister. In every movie that you've seen where the bad guy whistled, he's always identified by the whistle. It's never a good guy who whistles, by the way. Second of all, I can't whistle. Third of all, why in the fuck would whistling be a smoke deterrent? Anywho. So that's where I am. It is getting better. It is getting a lot better. The days when the weeks when I would only read one book, that's why I couldn't settle. I had to get up and go and go and go. And I did take a lot of time off work. I took some time off for my birthday, and I took some, you know, so luckily I have not been at work that much, so the irrational rage hopefully didn't get spread out too much at work. But it's just a day-by-day struggle. And please, don't pop off in the comments about think how much money you'll save. That did not happen. If anything, over the past 30 days, I've spent more than I would have if I was smoking and buying cigarettes, even every day. But you know, whatever. I thought, whatever it took to get me through the first 30 days, but I gotta get my shit together now. And again, I think it is getting better. I'm able to focus a little bit more on my books. And I just wanted to share this with you so that you wouldn't think I'm normally a scatterbrain, and that I wouldn't think that I was losing my reading mojo. It's been affected for sure, but this is still a thing I love to do. What I'm working to do is right now working on a way to recreate the relaxation of sitting down with a glass of wine and a book, and something like this, which I just got this past week, this sparkling, maybe will help me recreate that feeling without the need to smoke, because there is no alcohol. It's just hey, I'm going to sit down, relax, and have a toasty, toasty? Whatever, and a book. So, anywho, that is it for me. Tomorrow I have a book haul that I'm really excited about. I'm wearing this shirt. I actually recorded that earlier today. And then it is Thanksgiving. I am not doing anything. Like I said, had originally thought about going up to my dad's wife's house, but I could not take the risk of caving and having a glass of wine and then smoking. So, hey, by the time this airs, no guarantees. I could cave tomorrow. I could cave tonight. I hope that does not happen. But I just wanted to be real with you. That's why this is Straight Talk Edition. Last time I'll talk about it. Now you'll just have to hear me babble. Anywho, thank you for sticking with me on this journey, smoking and non. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on any of these books. Jane Eyre, Pride and Prejudice, Puck and Prejudice, if you've read it, And if you've read any of the Nora Roberts, next year when the third book in the trilogy comes out, I'm probably going to do a reread of all the first two. I didn't do the reread of book 1 this time, and I kind of wish I had. It might have helped with my focus, but that's part of the reason I didn't, is because I just was having so much trouble focusing. Anywho, that is it for me. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy reading.